Hello, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope we're all doing okay today on this cold and dark Monday, I must admit. Obviously, because that's what happens when the year goes on. But Ralph Hasenhuttl has been sacked as manager of Southampton. Usually, I want to say Southampton United or Southampton City, but that's absolutely stupid. But here is the man that has just currently been sacked, and he's part of a flurry of managers that have currently been sacked or moved on from the teams in the Premier League. Look at Chelsea, Brighton, Villa, Tottenham seems to be on the brink every single week. I've probably forgotten a couple of others as well, but if you haven't already, guys, I will appreciate each and every subscription that I do get. I think we're currently on 87, and I want to get to 100 by the end of the year. I don't really mind about the notification bell because obviously, like I say, don't usually do it myself, so what's the point in me asking you guys to do it? But as it stands, 81% of you who are watching this, and this is slightly out of date, it's actually worse than this. 85%, I think it is now, of people who are currently watching this aren't subscribed. So I don't know what that means in terms of is that a good or a bad thing. I'll probably twist it into a bad thing, to be honest with you. But yes, Ralph Hasenhuttl, this man again, I'll show him again, has been sacked as manager of Southampton with 173 games, 59 wins, 41 draws, and 73 losses. And by my calculations, that's a 34% win ratio in his time from December 2018 to November 2020. And we'll go on to the statement here. So Southampton Football Club can confirm it has parted ways with men's football manager Ralph Hasenhuttl, first team coach Klitsch Bickler. I apologise for that. Has also left the club. Hasenhuttl, who has been appointed since 2018, departs having made a significant contribution to the club, overseeing some memorable results, and also a key role in the development of our football club infrastructure, identity, and playing squad. However, we now believe that it is appropriate time to make a change. Everyone involved with the club, this is like the usual waffle, like we've expressed sincere thanks to Ralph for his efforts as well as the unwavering commitment he has shown throughout his time. And then it just says that one of the coaches will be in charge of the game on Wednesday against Sheffield Wednesday, I believe. This is quite a surprise how long he was in charge, and I think right now that it had become stale, and I think it had become almost ruthlessness. Like it became turgid essentially. I don't know why I stuttered over that. Under the Ralph Hasenhuttl, and I think that if you look at the table here, currently Southampton are in 18th spot, 3 wins, 3 draws, and 8 losses. But that doesn't really hide the fact that Hasenhuttl was basically on the brink from the start of the season. Like they finished 16th in the first season he was there. Obviously, he took over when he took over Mark Hughes. That's how long ago it was. I forgot Mark Hughes was even the Southampton manager, but finishing 16th in 2018-19, 11th in 19-20 with a 9-0 loss, by the way. That cannot be forgotten. 15th place in 2021, again with another 9-0 loss. I don't know, a manager who could survive 2 9-0 losses and carry on for another 2 seasons. And then again, another 15th place finish. But I think on the terms of Hasenhuttl, I'll try and back him as much as I can here. I think that what is Southampton's expectations? I think that currently, right now, it's a case of, are they seeing it as the grass is greener? Because obviously it isn't, and then that's the obvious statement, isn't it? The grass isn't always greener, and we'll go on to who they're going to sign or appoint next, or it looks more likely to in a bit. But with Ralph Hasenhuttl, I think that he's done himself well enough to get another job in the Premier League. I believe. I think that another team in the maybe in the Bundesliga probably go back there, won't he? But other than the 9-0 losses, which is a massive caveat, by the way, I think he's done an okay job. I think that his predictability in his formations being 4-2-2-2 or a back 5 at the back sort of was his undoing eventually, because it became too predictable, and maybe he was at Southampton a bit too long. But like I say, if you look at it, they're still 1 point off 17th Bournemouth, who are looking poor right now. Look, they've not won the last 5 games. And I mean, if you look at the results here, so they beat Leicester away, who were poor at the time. They beat Southampton at home. Okay, they beat Chelsea at home, which is a great result. A couple of poor results in amongst that, and then they started to slowly pick it up. You know, West Ham draw, and then they beat Bournemouth, and then drew against an Arsenal team who are absolutely flying this season. You can't deny how good of a point that was at home. But I think the 4-1 loss was a sort of a perfect summarization of how Hasenhuttl has been this season. If you look at the Newcastle game, they lost 4-1, but they had an XG of 1.7 compared to Newcastle's 0.86. I think Newcastle Trippier said that they really were poor in the game and they were ruthless. And I think that the fact that I just said that Southampton weren't ruthless, there was a lot of there was a lack of finishing / ruthlessness. And I think this is sort of comparative to how Gerrard was at Villa. I think that when I spoke in that one, I spoke about how, Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings weren't performing on the biggest level and they weren't performing their XG. And this is the same for the likes of Shea Adams and Adam Armstrong. I think that between them, they've only got 4 goals this season, and it's just not good enough. I think that it really has cost Hasenhuttl his job, this sort of lack of clinical finishing up top and at a top level where it's needed in the Premier League. You can't get away with just 0-0s, 1-1s here and there and a sort of scraping a win. You need a striker who's going to score 20, 25 goals, perhaps even 15. Like you had Danny Ings and he left, and I think since then it's looked very drab, hasn't it? It's looked very, very turgid, like I did say. But I did mention the fact that so Hasenhuttl can't go past his 4-2-2-2 and a 5 at the back, which doesn't seem to work anyway as well. And I think that's contributing to the lack of goals because it's so predictable. They've only scored 12 goals in 14 games, and it's not like the controlling games as well, because I had a look on SofaScore. I don't have it up here. I do apologise. They have an average possession of 44%, so they're not even controlling the possession. So they've got this low block, so they look very weak in midfield. They don't have the possession, so it's 44%, and they don't have anything up front. So ultimately, they do need something to change. And I think that under Hasenhuttl, it had become very, very predictable, like I just said. I'll just quickly go on to the transfers as well this summer. Obviously, last summer you had the likes of Livramento. This summer, again, it seems very, very young. Bazunu, who's currently 20, 22. Bella Kotchap is 20. Lavier is 18. Aribo's 26, but he comes from Rangers. The only sort of high value signing they actually bought was around 8 to 10 million, wasn't it? Kaletakar as well as Adozi and Larios as well from City. All have great potential. And I forgot that Ainsley Maitland-Niles actually was there at Southampton, to be honest with you. So he's probably been injured this season. If he hasn't, and he hasn't performed well enough, has he? Because he should be one of the players who should be, taking it by the scruff of the neck, essentially, if he's there, because the team is so young and so naive, and it sort of looks like it is right now because of the 16 shots that they had against Newcastle's 7, essentially. That sort of screams naivety, doesn't it? So, to summarise, I think that Hasenhuttl probably did deserve to get the sack, which is harsh to say. I don't like to say that, but I think everyone thought that was going to happen eventually. I think it's just a bit surprising now because, I think it's unsurprising now, actually, to be honest with you, but just because of the World Cup coming up, if you get someone like Nathan Jones, which is who they're linked with, who I'll talk about in a second, has this month to develop the squad, his sort of beliefs and his philosophies, then, something, it could go well for you. But obviously, like I just said, Nathan Jones, the guy who's looking likely to be appointed by Southampton, obviously he's been at Luton since they were in League 2, and then he left to go to Stoke. Didn't go well for him, but nothing goes well at Stoke at the minute. Came back to Luton, and they are flying. I mean, the budget they've got compared to the other Championship teams is incomparable. There's only maybe Rotherham and a couple of others that have a sort of similar budget, but the fact that they're so efficient at the roles and their output is incredible. And I think that whether or not this is just because Nathan Jones does well at Luton, because obviously he didn't do well at Stoke, we'll find out, I suppose, if he goes to Southampton. Obviously, he plays a 3-4-2-1. A sort of similar formation to Hasenhuttl, because he can go back to his 5-3-2 as well when it goes a bit more defensive. But like Hasenhuttl as well, only 44.2% possession on average last season. However, he's very direct and he presses from the front rather than Hasenhuttl's low block and sort of very monotonous defensive output. It's different in the Championship, but I'm not going to deny that. But obviously, with Nathan Jones' more direct play, it's a bit more entertaining for Southampton. And I think it does need a bit of a switch right now. And like I did say, he did wonders at Luton. And I think that ultimately, he didn't have a fair crack at the whip at Stoke. I think that it was in a team that was already down, or already sort of on the way down. And I think that this is the first proper crack at the whip that Nathan Jones will be getting, and I think he does deserve it. But there's countless other managers in the Championship that deserve it as well. I'm not going to go through them because there's quite a few. Vincent Kompany, Manning, managers like that. I think in a couple of seasons' time, we'll be seeing those managers as well go into the Premier League with their teams or with just by themselves with the coaching staff. But I think with Nathan Jones right now, Southampton fans, are you pleased? Are you happy with that? Are you happy with the fact that Ralph Hasenhuttl is now sacked as your manager? It's a new era for Southampton with a young squad and a moldable, malleable squad. And I think that's key for you. I think that is very key to whoever's going to come in, because he can show them his philosophies and the way he plays. So, guys, if you haven't already, please can you go and subscribe to the channel. I do try and put these out bi-daily or some sort, but this is the first time I spoke about Southampton, and we're looking at the squad. I do think it has the potential. I just think it's been sucked out of them the last year and a half, whether it's Hasenhuttl's fault, the board's fault, the players' fault, or a mixture of them all. So there is potential there. But like I said, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, comment below what you thought of the video, as well as some sort of thought on Southampton, how they might do this season. And if you haven't already, please can you go and like the video. So I will see you in a couple of days' time, whenever some new comes out, because honestly, this season is mental. What a season to start this channel. So I will see you soon. Bye.